Your Majesty! Something terrible has occurred. The rushing figure was a beholder, a powerful demon with one big eye and hundreds of tentacles. He was a creature who worked closely with Demiourgos 666th. The beholder knelt flat on the ground with 4 tentacles out. When Demiourgos 666th awoke from the awakening egg, he left the Demon King's castle immediately. The empty armor responded with a low resonant sound. Is he already attacking humans? But it's too early. He's not prepared yet. No, that is not it. He left a letter. 666 declares he's stepping down as Demon King. The former Demon King's rage rattled the armor. He was astonished. The protagonist lifted his head in front of Arkoma Royal Castle. The spire glittered brilliantly. A holy cross decorated with many gems was seen. Just gazing at it made his skin itch. He felt nauseated. At that time, the knights defending the castle's entrance arrived. Who are you? Demiourgos 666 ignored the other person and continued to look at the cross on the tower. This bumpkin! Once again, he is seen as a rustic bumpkin. He dropped his eyes to examine himself. Is it due of my clothing? My face is certainly not rustic. Country. Bumpkins. Why are you lingering? Tell me your name! The guards talked angrily, threatening to hit him with their spears. The protagonist understood that he couldn't name himself Demiourgos the 666th. Then he greeted the guards and introduced himself as Deus. What kind of crazy guy is this? The chief of the royal guard left his station instantly, accompanied by all 10 men on duty. He instructed Deus to leave this place immediately. Deus inquired, Is the Verde Kingdom strong? It is the strongest on the Horsa continent. If I become the king, it wouldn't be bad. Deus mumbled. Count Brewer, angry, pulled his sword. You want to die? Daring to offend the royal family. If you don't have a good reason, you'll die here. He chuckled slowly. His eyes blazed crimson, and he attacked with tremendous speed. Count Brewer's head rolled to the ground. Nobody witnessed what occurred or how it transpired firsthand. With a simple sweep of his hand, everyone's head was blasted off. He crossed the bridge and entered the palace, where several knights awaited him. At that point, the door crumbled, and Deus entered. Many knights yelled in terror as a dark veil surrounded them. The ominous blackness crept into the weakest spots of human weakness. One knight lifted his sword upside down and stabbed his own neck. There wasn't just one knight. Approximately 100 knights committed suicide all at once. Trembling, they pleaded and called out their moms' names. Fear persisted, nibbling at everyone's hearts. Half of the knights had died. It was annihilation. Count Yuku yelled to the heavens while holding the little silver cross, rosary, and praying. Count Yuku's body was surrounded by holy magical power. He swung his sword furiously, cutting at the opponent. Count Yuku's sword hit hard. A storm-like sword energy ripped through the earth. Deus extended 2 fingers to deflect Count Yuku's sword. His eyes narrowed. He murmured that it was his turn. Annoyance flared in Deus' gaze. Deus flicked his palm. Then there was nothing. Count Yuku's corpse tumbled to the ground, revealing just his lower half. The knights who had drawn strength from the Count's brightness were nowhere to be seen. Instead, only dust remained. Deus stepped forward again. Light, accursed light. The central gate changed into bats, and he resumed his methodical walk into the inner sanctuary. After the Azure Dragon Knights were destroyed, the Guard Knights became the only force that could be classified as a military formation in the royal palace. However, the Guard Knights were just honor guards. Their rank was greater than that of the Azure Dragon Knights, but their swordplay did not equal. The Guard Knights encircled the king. The royal audience room, which was formerly used to establish the royal family's power, no longer served that purpose. The king glanced at the guy in front of him with melancholy eyes. Who are you? It appears that asking is all you people can do, Deus grumbled. Fine. Since I've come this far, let's talk, King. The Guard Knight's commander yelled, his eyes narrowing. Address him as Your Majesty. As soon as he finished speaking, the Guard Knight's commander was ripped into 7 pieces and scattered across the audience room. The splattering blood and entrail particles filled the air with a foul odor. The Guard Knights moaned. Witnessing such a horrible spectacle in Verde, the most powerful country on the huge Horsa continent, was unimaginable. He instantly unleashed his wings while in the air and slaughtered the other knights. With great speed, he flew in front of the king, smiling and asking whether they should start conversing immediately. King was terrified and yelled, "What do you want? Money? Authority? I will give you anything I have." With a grim smirk, he continued, "Hand over the kingdom." The king said in disbelief, "That's ridiculous. What an absurd demand." Deus remarked in a bored tone, "Absurd? So, what do you think I would ask for in this situation? It's an unbelievable story." Deus informed him in a clear tone that if he couldn't deliver him the throne, I'll assassinate the king and his family, and the kingdom will inevitably become mine. The king went insane, believing that this bastard desired his daughter. Deus was uninterested in informing the king that he was not interested in her, and he had no idea he had won. The monarch said, "My daughter is off limits. April is the glory of the Horsa continent and the bloom of the Verde royal family. No, I do not need her. I need the kingdom." The king was even angrier, saying, "Why do you want something that isn't yours?" In response to the king's comments, he looked at him for a time. He then said, "Is this yours?" The monarch said, "The kingdom belongs to the royal family." Deus was becoming agitated and questioned, "Since when?" Before the king could respond, Deus kept speaking. He wondered whether this universe belonged to him. From the first day it was formed. The king screwed his face and said nothing. Deus informed him that he eventually stole something from someone. He said, "What is a royal family? Give up after sitting and sipping honey for millennia. I will let you take a few sweets." The king yelled, "Do you think the Holy Council would recognize such a thing?" Deus chuckled at the king's shouted inquiry. Black lightning hit like a hurricane. The former audience hall was turned into the horrible road to the underworld. Everything burnt black. The king and his warriors transformed into coal sculptures. Deus was upset that there were no pure bloods there. They may have been able to resist if there had been pure blood, even for a few seconds. He glanced at the skies and told God that those men were completely unprepared. But there was no response, there was just silence. He groaned, knowing that it would be a while before pure blood awoke. And there are yet 20 years till he descends. We then receive an explanation for what Deus meant by descending. The first war demons fell into the demonic world with the Demon King's damaged soul. When the Demon King descends, his spirit is transferred to a new body, where he will be subjected to a variety of sorcery and curses for the next 100 years. Then, revive him once again. Thus, with the birth of the new Demon King, the second war started. The demons believed that there were no heroes left. Thus, they had finally taken over the country. But just when they believed they'd found another blasted hero, he came up. As a result, the demons suffered yet another defeat. The devils once again resurrected a new Demon King for 100 years. Another hero showed up. This motion has been repeated for hundreds of years, and it has occurred 665 times. It lasted 66,580 years. The narrative of a hero who saves the world has become an overused cliché. People believed that the hero would appear again when the time came. However, they were unaware that this was the last Demon King. A word of devils placed their hopes and aspirations in this one. They used all their strength to revive the 666th Demon King. Demiourgos was the 666th. The bringer of sadness to all humanity on earth opened his eyes, and on that day, he gave up his position as Demon King. The future Demon King was deep in thought about his destiny, when unexpectedly, a loud shriek that might shatter eardrums resonated throughout the audience hall. Deus, who was lost in thought, turned his head toward the sound. At the entryway, a girl stood with her lips covered. You might guess her name without asking. April Laverde. She was a beauty who seemed to have walked out of a picture. She donned an expensive imperial gown that accentuated her attractiveness. What on earth? Who are you? She questioned, weeping. She shouted and asked him what he had done to her father. Deus answered that now that the king is dead, he has chosen to take his daughter and ascend to the kingdom. Didn't he just claim he wasn't interested in her? I think seeing how lovely she is, he changed his mind. The princess stepped back in dread when she learned that he intended to seize her and the kingdom. Deus snapped his fingers, and April's eyes lost their shine. The pupils seemed to have vanished, leaving just dull, blank eyes. She immediately bowed, indicating that her body belonged to him. Deus flew towards her with his wings. He stroked her chin, informing her that she was now his first human. Why does it seem like there's another meaning to what he said? Anyway, Deus grinned as he was ready to kiss the princess, but he paused when he sensed someone approaching and warned them to stop looking and come out before he gouged out their eyes. A figure opened a rift, showing a guy walking out. In a black suit, he appeared in front of Deus. He bowed to show respect. Your loyal servant, Alex, greets you, my lord. The octopus head was a very scathing assessment. Aside from his barely split eyes, he was an unremarkable young guy. Already chasing me? Deus asked. Alex said. Not really. He has been with Deus from the beginning. Deus maintained that he is a demon who serves his father, not himself. With a smile on his face, he replied that his lord had bestowed him to him. And now he is here to serve him. Deus told him to get lost, as he is not returning to the demon realm. My lord! I just obey my lord's commands. In my childhood, I was a nanny, and in my prime, I worked as a family tutor. I've never ceased thinking about you in all these 80 years. Don't question my commitment, and keep doing what you're doing. I'll sit back and always follow you. Deus' eyes glowed brighter as he inquired about what he meant by what he was doing. Even with the most gorgeous lady in the continent at his side, he felt oddly uneasy. Alex pointed to the princess and asked the Demon King if he wasn't attempting to plant that lady with his seed. He boasted loudly that he had never left his side for 80 years. He breastfed him as an infant, and after transforming his own body, Deus was disgusted that it was his nasty doing. Alex ignored what he said, insisting that compassionate schooling helped him become the ideal teacher. Deus became enraged as he realized that he was the one who was beating the snot out of him. He informed him that he was the only demon that cared for him till the end, until he entered the Egg of Awakening. Deus learned the truth from him, and was outraged because he was the one who placed him in the Egg of Awakening. Alex was moved by how far he had come in his development. The protagonist was enraged of what he had put him through. Deus had had enough of his stupidity, and informed him that he was not going to be the Demon King as of today, and had been reborn as a regular human being. Alex just smiled, telling him to do as he wanted. Deus lifted his hand. Alex's body distorted briefly as he clenched his fist. Instead of limbs and legs, there were hundreds of tangled tentacles hidden behind the garments. The wonderfully made visage crumbled like a squished doll. Alex inquired if there was a particular reason he decided to attack the nation. Deus was unsure what he meant by a cause. Alex grew serious and emphasized that it was as if he had invaded his domain, or sought the demonic realm's riches. Or maybe he wasn't happy. Deus told him that he did not have a reason. He just assumed that if he were to live as a human, he would do it as a king. Alex was quite pleased and applauded him. Deus explained why he was applauding. He was impressed, for only the Demon King would accomplish this. He was even more fascinated by the fact that as soon as he arrived on Earth, he took over the greatest kingdom, murdered the monarch, and even abducted the princess. He applauded him, describing how evil he actually is. Deus was growing agitated with these compliments. Alex proposed something since he stated that he would forsake them and not be the Demon King. He will bring his kid down to the evil world and raise him as the demon ruler. And 20 years later, his son, Demiourgos, the 666th, will descend to this world. Deus' eyes widened in amazement as he realized what he had spoken. He then gazed at the princess. With such a confident demeanor, he struggled to figure out where he should be upset. He exhaled in relief as he almost messed up right here and became a father to a kid at the young age of 80. Deus was furious as he rapidly whirled around and blasted Alex with a strong demonic technique. Alex has ample time to evade the attack. The demonic force was so strong that it demolished a mountain and the surrounding region, much like a nuclear bomb. Alex stared at his master from behind and recognized that he was different. He was startled that his Demon King field was still incomplete despite his might. In the back of his mind, he reasoned that the 666th was markedly different from his predecessors. He reasoned that maybe this time they might be able to win. While Alex was lost in thought, Deus was thinking about something, and he concluded that being king stands out too much, so he'll choose something different. Alex stopped for a minute, unsure of what he was saying, while Deus mumbled to himself about the protector of justice hero. He had no clue what his master was talking about. Meanwhile, Deus intended to pretend to be the hero's ally. Alex was even less sure what he was talking about. This dumb Demon King was preparing to collaborate with the hero so that he would be recognized, but he would be one step behind so that he would not stand out. He would take the vaguest position that would not lead people to believe that he is the Demon King, and that position is that of the hero's ally. With the foolish hero in front, he'll enjoy the smooth trip behind him. The dumb Demon King chuckled as if he were the brightest person in the room, and Alex fell to his knees, imploring the master not to carry out this idiotic plan because without the Demon King, there would be no hero. Alex attempted to pull him back to his senses by asking him how the hell he was going to be his ally. Deus flew away, promising him he would go get the hero. He instructed Alex to accompany him. Alex shouted, "What about the princess?" To which Deus replied, "I don't know, you must deal with her yourself." Alex was perplexed, asking him if she wasn't the female lead. Alex and Deus were unaware that someone was monitoring them. This individual badly underestimated the 666th, supposing that he is foolish. This person thought that the main character was stupid and added that it would be easy now since all she needed was his powers. Alex was perplexed, and he wondered why they were using a carriage when they could fly. Deus called Alex an idiot because flying over everywhere would reveal that they were demons. Alex yelled in rage as he pointed to the castle, saying that he should be more concerned that he had burnt the castle. Deus didn't care that it was on fire. Realizing that his master doesn't care that it's on fire, Alex wondered whether he was truly going to be a hero's companion. With a pleasant smile on his face, having read somewhere that it's alright to be a companion even if he doesn't have blood. Deus just wants to live a simple life in the top 2% of rich people and have a suitable stand-in at the front lines slaughtering monsters instead. Alex looked at him and told him that even if he became a hero's sidekick, he would struggle to rank in the top 2%. Deus inquired whether the hero used a rating system. Alex responded, saying that, sure, they do have a rating system. They have something like a rank and a B rank. The first is a D rank dragon slayer. Deus wondered whether it was a title awarded for slaying dragons. Alex replied, "Not exactly. Dragons are neutral. Therefore, we devil avoid interacting with them until absolutely necessary. There is no need to create new enemies. But just the name D rank is enough to provoke the dragons. The following rank is G rank Giant Slayer. And it's the same as being a dragon slayer, except this time you're a giant slayer. Following the G rank, L rank Lich Slayer. Following that, the other positions are simply listed alphabetically. Deus wonders why the others are so plain. Alex had no idea, and he suspected that the hero management department had made the decision. The lowest ranking is F rank. They are referred to as failed products. If they were fruits, they would have dropped. Because they do not sell, they are only suitable for jam manufacturing. Deus could see that it was a shame for them. And if a hero wants to be the finest hero possible, he may acquire more help from nobles as their ranking or position in the nation rises. Alex informed his master that there is something more essential than hero ranks. And that's blood. Deus grew serious, knowing that the closer a person is to having pure blood, the stronger they are. The two saviors were the first to rescue the planet 66, 580 years ago. The hero and priestess. Their offspring will carry their lineage, the holy blood. They determine how much of their blood is still in the family. The more pure the blood in the family, the greater the aura they can employ. The one with the purest blood becomes the hero, defeating the Demon King 665 times. Of course, the purity level of one's blood is taken into consideration, and whomever is closest to having pure blood will have a higher hero rank. There are exceptions, but generally, the purer the blood, the stronger the individual. Deus was irritated that everyone was taking things so seriously with him. This was complete nonsense, and as a result of it, he was trapped in an egg for 80 years as a result of the conflict. In the end, it does not matter since the hero and the Demon King will battle. Everyone has been battling for 60,000 years over just one statement. Deus observed a butterfly but had no idea what it was, so he inquired. Alex responded. It was a butterfly. The butterfly landed on Deus's finger, and he stared at it with wonder since it was his first time seeing it. The wind suddenly picked up, catching him off guard. And the butterfly fluttered away. Deus attempted to grab it, but it was already far away. Deus inquired about what was causing the problem. Alex replied that it was the wind. He glanced at the light with fascination, wondering what the item was that had been hovering above his head since earlier. His servant responded by telling him that it was the Sun Man. Deus is asking too many questions, which I am getting bored of lately, but it is understandable. Anyway, he posed another inquiry, to which Alex answered that it is the aroma of spring. Deus inquired if he had lived a long life. Alex said yes, and stated that he was born after the First War. He and the other 7 dukes were born in the demon world. Deus felt a little sad since it must have been great for Alex to see what this wonderful planet has to offer. The previous demon most likely never felt anything like this, and if all had gone according to plan, he would have been confined for 2 decades before reaching the surface. His fate would have meant dying at the hands of a hero he'd never met. He felt relieved that he had gone away. With a brilliant smile on his face, he mumbled that being the Demon King is a profession that should simply disappear, and he questioned, "Doesn't he agree?" Alex just gazed at him in silence, saying nothing. Deus opted to sleep, and he told Alex to wake him up when they arrived so that he didn't take him back to the underworld, where they would both die. Alex smiled since he was not going to betray his master. They came a few hours later, and Alex informed his master that they were here. Deus was shocked that they had already arrived. This is characterized as a small trading zone that is not military. This is the definition of an average place in the rural hamlet of Zorix. When Deus inquired about the heroes in this location, Alex said that there are only 2 families, a rank family that is near to becoming a G rank and an A rank fallen family. At that point, Deus overheard several villagers conversing, and he listened as he learned that the Trier Castle had been assaulted by a dragon. According to the story, they haven't caught the dragon yet. Therefore, they won't even consider venturing near Trier Castle. It was stated that half of the castle had burned down. The second villager was astonished and asked, "Didn't dragons become extinct a long time ago?" Deus thought dragons were neutral, so he silently asked the question, and Alex thought that they were neutral as well, and he didn't know what was going on. He was last seen on the surface 80 years ago, so something must have occurred in that period. The villagers wish to alert the Sanctus Maximus Populi and request that they send an A and D rank heroes. Alex proposed to his master that they stay at this hotel since it was the nicest one nearby. Deus instructed Alex to cease calling him his lord and instead call him master. The hotel owner greeted them pleasantly as they entered the golden pavilion. Alex politely asked the owner to provide them a penthouse since his master was highly picky. In the back of his mind, he was indignant, wondering whether this person was an unreasonable backwater bumpkin. The owner chuckled uncomfortably, telling him that he must have traveled a long distance, and may not be aware that the penthouse is prohibitively costly. Alex didn't want to dispute with this moron, so he pulled out a treasure box and opened it. This is the treasure taken from Arcoma Castle. The owner was left stunned when he saw the treasure. The owner turned behind him and yelled angrily to the holy bitch to accompany the client. The man hastily rushed over and fell down. While sprinting towards them, he immediately apologized for his clumsiness. He bowed and welcomed them. He introduced himself, informing them his name is Zeke Panhalibish. He then got their stuff, and they headed upstairs. Zeke was still startled that a dragon from the legends visited, so he calmed the two new guests by informing them that the A-rank family that is practically G-rank lives in their village, so they don't have to worry about anything. Zeke opened the door and invited them to their penthouse. With a hesitant laugh, he admitted to the visitor that this was his first time in charge of someone as noble. And he is unsure whether this is satisfactory, but he will try his best to suit their demands, and he kindly invites them to contact him at any moment. Deus sensed something in Zeke's body and informed him that he had excellent blood, which made him understand why he felt different from other miserable humans. He smiled as his plan began to emerge. Deus examined Zeke as someone who has the blood. His body isn't horrible, and he's here performing busy labor. The protagonist deduced that he belonged to the fallen family, one of Zorix's two hero families. The main character inquired about his blood purity level. Zeke, embarrassed, informed him that he is merely AF rank, a fallen product. At that time, there was a large explosion behind Zeke, and he yelled in agony as he felt the heat of the explosion. Deus and everyone else were taken aback when they spotted the dragon in front of them, roaring loudly. Many peasants yelled as they rushed away. Zeke swiftly turned back, informing the young master that he needed to get out of here soon. Deus calmed Zeke, assuring him that everything will be alright. His eyes glowed, and he informed him with a dark smile that he'd become his supporter, thus he had to be a hero. Deus saw Zeke's perplexed face and explained that he had been hunting for a hero and that it was destiny that they met. He negotiated a deal with him, promising that if he accepted his offer, he would give him the fortune and fame he could only dream of. And he promised to remove the curse, failed product title for him. Zeke was taken aback when he learned that Deus had asked him whether he wanted to continue living the rest of his life as an F rank who had never even wielded a blade, or if he wanted to accept his offer and alter his fate. This is the sort of opportunity he will only have once in his life. Zeke's eyes widened in horror as he recalled his background and how others used to tease him and tell him that they should starve to death. He remembered how he and her sister had been abandoned, and he understood that this was his opportunity. He knelt down, begging to Deus to give him his support. He may only be AF rank, but he vowed to give his all to become the greatest hero as soon as possible, and he guaranteed that they would not regret giving him the opportunity. With tears in his eyes, he cried that if he wanted, he could even surrender his soul. Deus laughed since he was going to ask for it anyhow. Deus shouted that it would be his first stage and that they should go hunt that dragon. Zeke was taken aback and inquired whether they shouldn't start with something like a goblin first. Before Zeke goes to fight the dragon, Deus formed a contract, which specified that Party A Deus, Party B Zeke. Panhalibish, Party B will join Party A as a hero partner. Party B will strictly follow all commands from Party A. The relationship will continue independently for as long as Party A desires, and only Party A has the authority to cancel the contract. The famous money from the trip will be divided with Party B in proportion to how much Party A wants, whenever Party A wants. Party B will not object to the following criteria. Zeke believed that this was a very unfair deal. Deus told him to give his name and accept the pact. The deal will then be completed. Zeke was furious for a second, but he was determined to do it for fame and wealth, so he screamed his name, and the deal was sealed. Alex stopped the master, informing him that people cannot merely slay dragons. The future Demon King had an idea and, with a bright grin on his face, informed them that all he had to do was pretend like he was slaughtering it, and they would be the ones to do it. The idea was virtually easy. Alex will go speak to the dragon and then drop him in front of the failed product Zeke. Zeke, who is in position, will swing the sword at the dragon as it falls down. Once in position, he will swing the sword at the descending dragon. Alex and Zeke were flabbergasted at the foolish idea. Alex demonstrated to his foolish master that others would get suspicious, and that being a D-rank hero's sidekick would make him too conspicuous to live in peace. He had another idea and was gazing at Zeke oddly. Zeke seemed uneasy and inquired as to why he was now looking at him like that. The protagonist ripped Zeke's clothes, and Zeke was stunned and confused, not understanding what was going on. Deus snatched a pot from somewhere and used his heat vision to create holes in it. He then put the pot in his head and wore a cape fashioned from his outfit. Zeke blushed in embarrassment since he was nude, no matter how you look at it. And with this disguise, no one will be able to tell who he is or if he is a fallen product. Alex went to bring the dragon over here, and Deus was pleased that everything was proceeding as planned. The main character and Zeke are heading downstairs to prepare Zeke to fight the dragon. Zeke felt humiliated and wondered whether they were really heading out like this to face a monster. This fool tosses a broom to Zeke and tells him to catch it. Zeke caught the broom and was even more ashamed. The protagonist told Zeke to simply stand there, saying that even if the dragon is right in front of his face, he would grant him fame and money well beyond his ability to bear. Zeke felt a strange sense that he didn't comprehend at the moment. He strengthened his grasp on the broom. He felt like he could demolish everything that came his way. An intense yearning raged in his heart to defeat the dragon and become a hero. That might have been due to something in Zeke's blood from a hero sleeping in his hemoglobin. The hero's blood desires to rend the Demon King before him to pieces. Zeke, on the other hand, most likely believed this since he knew nothing. Seeing Sir Deus gaze, "I'm gaining strength. I can do it. Like fame and money." "Yes," he screamed cheerfully. "Master." "Go, my puppy," Deus replied with a sinister smirk on his face. Zeke rustled forward like a hound as he obeyed his master's orders. The dragon was scorching everything within its sight. It led to individuals shrieking in terror, while others were in agony as they burned till death. The dragon screamed as its eyes lit, and the flames surrounding it increased, burning many people to death. Alex came beside the dragon, his eyes sparkled as he prepared to battle. He removed his coat, and several hands emerged from his back. He leaped, heading right for the dragon. He landed on the dragon's head and assaulted it with his numerous hands. Alex had grabbed the dragon's heart, and he was certain that the dragon would not fight him or his demands. Alex questioned the dragon why he was at this location. "Didn't you dragons and humans reach an agreement?" Something purple emerged from the dragon, and Alex wondered what it was. The dragon talked in a strange tongue. Alex was astonished, wondering how a dragon like Hai could use such dirty words. Alex understands that something has gone wrong. While Alex and the dragon were battling, Zeke came forward because he was ready. People noticed him. They wondered who the individual was. And why is he hiding? Is he attempting to face the dragon alone? Is he the hero? Zeke heard all of these questions and more. Someone said that his clothes made him appear like a pervert. Someone agreed, saying he is a pervert. Zeke felt both humiliated and terrified. Deus yelled for him to keep it together. Deus purposefully stated, masked for the hero to keep it going. When they heard Deus refer to him as the masked hero, they felt a glimmer of hope. He was still humiliated, but his eyes were filled with resolve since this was a once-in-a-lifetime chance for him to become wealthy and famous. Alex recognized it would be difficult to control. It's unavoidable. Now, he decided to use a little more power. He employed his technique, known as 100 Demonic Hand, to strike the dragon. He utilized another approach known as jail construction. The dragon roared in anguish. He utilized his last skill, Heart Piercer, to penetrate that dragon. The dragon roared in pain again. Alex spotted the purple object, and it stuck to him in his head, warning him to prepare. The dragon spoke, informing Alex that the person he believed to be dead had returned to life. The purple parasite went into his face. Alex recognizes what this creature is and what it's attempting to do. Deus became irritated and wondered what Alex was doing, as he needed to speed up and come down here since the crowd was waiting. He was growing bored and wondered why it was taking him so long to defeat only one dragon. Deus shouts out to Zeke to be ready. He reminded him to timing it perfectly and swing. Dragon charged directly toward Zeke, calling out Deus and stating that he did not want to die. Deus pledged with his name on the line. Whatever happens, he will not let him die. Zeke pulled the broom tighter, motivating himself. He adopted a posture and shouted out his technique, which he was going to use, the Moonlight Shining first chapter. Meanwhile, Alex was still attempting to defeat the purple monster. Alex yelled as the purple thing attempted to take possession of him. Alex attempted to remove the purple object from his body, but he was unsure as this was becoming more difficult with each passing instant. He used a skill called 100 Delvonic Hands and 1,000 glowing whips. After blowing the purple thing's hands away, he was able to grip the object on his face and tear it out. Deus murmured that Alex should slow down a little, or their hero will be crushed to death. Alex yelled as he peeled the purple object off his face. The purple creatures clung to his face, refusing to move. The dragon continued flying down, and many people shouted in terror as it approached them. Someone screamed, warning everyone to flee. Zeke was shivering with dread and sweating profusely. A villager instructed his children to swiftly get to the basement. Deus understands something is amiss since he should have slowed down by now, but he hasn't. He glanced closer and saw Alex battling with something. Zeke was resolved that no matter what happened, he would not move. He intended to knock it down with one blow. He remembers his father teaching him Moonlight Shine and how he explained to him that this sword skill is a family secret. And his father instructed him to study this for when the Demon King's army attacked their realm. Zeke unhappily informed his father that the children in the neighborhood stated that he would be unable to assist in the conquest of the Demon King as their family was unable to fight even one monster. His father smiled pleasantly and encouraged him, reminding him that no matter what anybody thought, their Hollybish family carried the hero's holy blood. His father coughed and told him to study well. With a brilliant smile on his face, he promised to give it his all. Zeke yelled Moonlight Radiance first chapter, and Deus also used his power and roared. Zeke's eyes blazed, and a golden aura emerged around the broom, which he smashed against the dragon's skull. The dragon shattered into shreds, and blood splattered everywhere. Before Zeke could slay the dragon, he closed his eyes and he didn't see the broom glowing with power, and he didn't see the dragon being killed. After a few seconds he opened his eyes in surprise. When he peered in front of him, his eyes widened in surprise. He turned around and found that the dragon had died. People watched what happened and assumed that Zeke was the only one who killed the dragon. They were relieved that the hero had killed the dragon and rescued them. They applauded him for doing a fantastic job. Zeke flushed in embarrassment at all the compliments he was receiving since this was the first time he had been lauded like this. When Deus saw the hero, he cleared his voice to cry out to him. He told him to hurry up, to go change and hide. The hero was taken aback by the sudden attention and swiftly accepted. He fled away. The purple thing on Alex's face had vanished, but he knew that this was far from over, as the dragon mumbled before dying, indicating that the one assumed to be killed had returned. The following day, Deus awoke after a nice night's sleep. Alex offered him a cup of coffee, and Deus stared at him in perplexity, not understanding why he was doing this. Alex saw his perplexity, and explained that people begin their day with a cup of coffee. Zeke arrived unexpectedly, saying that there was danger. He was overjoyed that the whole community was out hunting for the masked hero, saying things like, "They have to make him the village hero." Deus inquired about his clothes, seeing that it was strange. Zeke chuckled sheepishly and responded that since the community was in shambles following yesterday's tragedy, he was working to clean things up. Because the salary for physical work is adequate. The protagonist sipped his coffee, convincing himself that everything was fine since everything was proceeding as planned. He glanced up and saw how gorgeous the sky and sun were. Drinking this delicious morning coffee was very fantastic for him. All of the residents pitched in to help clean up the village. Zeke was assisting, and his employer encouraged him to go swiftly since they still had a lot remaining. Deus was amazed that they were working so hard to construct the unimpressive town. The hero was working hard as well. Alex said that when he talked with him yesterday, he informed him that he had done odd jobs since he was little. His family was impoverished, and raising a hero was costly. Laundry, cleaning, lumbering, grave digging, to name a few things he hasn't done yet. He has even worked at a shady bar. While Alex spoke, Deus was thinking about something. He made a decision, and Alex stopped talking, staring at his master in perplexity, wondering what he was thinking about. The protagonist decided that because they had met a hero and going around was inconvenient, they should remain in this community. It's little and inconsequential, yet I still like it. It's the beginning of Deus, the human. The protagonist jumped up and joyfully informed Alex that they should leave Zeke to work. Alex was unclear about where they're going. The main character replied that they are going to sell off the dragon leather, which is valuable since it is needed for hero equipment, and that if they could sell the leather, they would be able to swiftly get to the top 2%. Alex gladly informed his master that the Heroes Bureau had taken all of it last night. Dragon carcasses are too powerful for human people to handle. Deus was furious that he killed the dragon for nothing. With a menacing tone, he commanded him, saying, "Let's go." Alex was afraid and asked where. With a kind look on his face, he informed him that they were planning to demolish the Heroes Bureau. Alex knows that the main character is behaving stupid again, and he pleaded with the master to wait. He was well aware that the Heroes Bureau served as the hero's principal headquarters. Regardless of how powerful Deus is, battling the heroes alone is asking for death, especially if they discover that the Demon King is not in the demon world. It will be over. Alex asked the master if he didn't say he'd become the hero's companion. This guy didn't care. All he wanted was to destroy those idiotic heroes. Alex saw that he didn't understand, so he explained that in the human world, he had to register with the Heroes Bureau to become a hero. He asked if the Heroes Bureau were to disappear, who would acknowledge Zeke. Deus was enraged, but he was sensible enough to consider it. Alex wondered whether he had just prevented the demon race from annihilating itself. Deus changed his mind and chose to head over there. Alex was perplexed, wondering where they were going now. Deus smiled darkly as he informed his servant that he planned to regain his losses in the neighboring kingdom. Alex was taken aback when he heard this since he believed he was Deus the human. The next day, Deus was traveling in a carriage, and Alex quietly called out to his master, but he did not react. He had had enough, and he yelled loudly, screaming his name, and Deus screamed what? He spoke seriously, adding, "You've had enough of the surface, so why don't we go back down? The whole demonic world is waiting for your return. The fated day is 20 years from today. We do not have time to squander like this. You must quickly and totally master the Demon King techniques so that you may take over the world. Deus didn't care, reminding him that it was his fault since he had no reason to do it just because the demons wanted to. When a Demon King arises, assaulting the human world is such a simple thing to undertake that no one would believe it was necessary. Alex went on to say that the kings who came before him, the whole demon world, and the humans would all be assaulted, and that it would be as natural as breathing. Deus was not going to alter his decision, and he instructed Alex to accept the fact that there was no Demon King anymore. Alex advised that he simply impregnated a female, no matter who she was. At the very least, have a child replace the Demon King. Deus rejected since he did not want to do it, and urged him to go if he did not want to be his servant. Alex was resolved not to go until he had given the demons a child to take to the underworld. Deus informed him that since he was being so obstinate, he should stay up here forever as his acting servant. Alex inquired excitedly whether he should look for his own wife, a lady who would best fit him. Deus warned him, saying that if he mentioned marriage again, he would personally destroy the demon world. Alex was quiet as they approached their destination. The protagonist was interested in whether it could really work. Alex wasn't sure what he was talking about, so he inquired. The protagonist was embarrassed to discuss this, so he inquired whether it would work with that princess before the deed was done. Alex wasn't sure which princess he was talking about. Deus' inquiry was not straightforward. Thus, Alex was perplexed as to what he was talking about. The protagonist became enraged and went right to the issue, telling him he was talking about pregnancy. He was inquiring whether demons could impregnate humans. Of course they can, Alex said. When Deus heard this, he froze in disbelief. He emphasized that the way demons and humans mate is precisely the same. He explained how human men mate, but Deus was not listening, and he had had enough, so he stopped him. When told to stop talking about the sex education, Alex understood and agreed to stop talking about it. Alex went serious again, assuring his master that if he wanted to, he could make his own demonic sperm flow into the other party's body automatically. So, any direct intercourse will result in pregnancy with a success percentage of 99.999%. If it's only a deep kiss, the odds are 50%. Deus is even more surprised that a woman may get pregnant with only a kiss. Alex informed him that merely by touching hands with a lady, he might get her pregnant. He was astonished to realize that he nearly got into trouble. It's as if this body is intended to produce. He cursed, recognizing that the body's function is clear, to kill and produce descendants. He is becoming more dissatisfied with it as he learns more. Alex looked at him and told him that it was a blessed body, that he was the hope and survival of their demon world, and that it was a wonderful body to be held by God. Deus didn't care if it was blessed. He was simply furious that he was merely a part that had been printed out every 100 years. He dislikes the sense of having so many expectations of him, and he wonders about his view. Someone screamed as the girl ran towards them. This girl shouted again and ran directly towards Deus. She stammered with phony tears in her eyes, appealing for their help as she was pursued by mountain bandits. Alex questioned if he should go and aid her, and Deus questioned why he should. Alex told him that he may never know since something wonderful might happen. Deus was already skeptical, so he questioned Alex if he didn't think the scenario seemed odd. Alex didn't understand what he meant, so he inquired what it was. Deus informed him that she was immediately racing towards them, pleading for aid. Alex told him that the beauty asked for help while being chased. Is the fantasy genre's #1 cliché? What is wrong with it? He asked. The protagonist said that nothing is obscuring the even places around them. So, where have they come from? Even though he can see the forest, it is a long distance away. Alex reflected on this and determined that something is certainly fishy. Deus went on to say that the bandits had not spotted them the whole time they were following her, and they had not even looked at them. That's all for now. If you enjoyed this video, Don't forget to smash that like button. Thanks for watching.